but Texas barbecue is the best.
It's to each their own, but I'm not a huge vinegar fan.
Well, I just
That's the
like the
thing.
brisket, and I like the ribs, and I like sausage.
If you ever go get brisket tacos, I've probably eaten more brisket for breakfast than
Oh yeah,
any other meal.
I'll have brisket for
Brisket
breakfast, lunch, and
tacos are
dinner.
the thing.
Any kind of brisket, corned beef brisket's good. That's all good.
Like I wish there was a morning taco shop here.
Yeah.
Or
I've been advocating every.
I'm trying to get this in front of you because
Okay, does that pick up?
because I appreciate
I can lean
how
forward.
comfortable you are being around us. Because when guys get really comfortable, this is what they do. They start
Lean
going
back.
And,
That's good.
and some guys, even when they're drinking and they're doing this, end up way down here.
Thought about it, but I don't want.
I've always wanted to open up a breakfast restaurant down here. Like, because all we have is either there's a bagel shop or two, and then the rest is just corned beef hash.
You would lose your ass. There's no money in breakfast. Breakfast burrito truck.
Now, have you seen how much eggs are lately?
Yeah, I did, man. They just went back up. I got 2 kids and a wife that doesn't work.
Down, but yeah.
You don't have a chicken? I figured you had chickens.
No, the chickens in the neighborhood. All the chickens in the neighborhood.
Is that thing stuck right?
Is it a long one?
Yeah.
Oh man, I just trimmed my beard.
Oh man, yank that one. Oh god, I gotta yank that thing.
Oh, it's right in the sweet spot.
I know. Yeah, you gotta get that one. It's driving me crazy.
Are you gonna be able to stay focused?
I did it, and I had it all along. I was like, should I keep it that way?
All right.
There it is.
We're gonna try to get this thing on the rails.
Oh, that's a painful one.
Oh, that hurt.
Yeah.
Did your eyes water? Oh.
That's why I can't have a beer, because I like to yank them.
It gets worse when
yeah.
they start coming out of your nose.
I'm sure I've got more.
No, that's it. You did a good job.
I was gonna give myself a haircut.
Chris, what's last?
This has got to be a funny one. Like,
Welcome to our podcast.
What's your last name,
Clean
Chris?
yourself up.
You never even told me your last name. You're responsible for a lot of.
Davis, right?
I'm Davis. Is that your name too?
No.
Right.
I just want to make sure I remember.
Yeah.
Last name is Greening.
Greening,
Like
Chris
Brian,
Greening.
but yeah.
He doesn't fish,
No, I do fish.
but you don't. But you're not.
I'm not an Outer Banks fisherman.
But you haven't.
You guys fish.
Everybody that's been on here.
This is
Some kind of a
This
charter
is
boat
30.
captain.
This is the 35th one. I counted them up.
35th guest.
No, 30, you are. Well, now for a couple of them have not had a guest, but the 35th show.
Absolutely.
You're the first guest
I didn't change my shirt.
that doesn't fish. I mean, that doesn't not in the fishing business like we are. But that being said,
He's in the fishing business.
you are the fishing business now.
Yeah.
Which is
Not in it, he is it.
Yeah.
Chris bought TW's bait and tackle, Nags Head.
Yep.
So I continue to say.
A couple years ago. How many years are you in now? 3 years?
2.5 in, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Working on third year. September 11th will be the third year.
And I want to hear all about it.
Okay.
I want to hear how a man from Tyler, Texas, gets here and buys a tackle shop.
Okay. So
And
I'll
go.
kind of start back to where I grew up, which was East Texas. I've always been in small business throughout kind of high school, college there.
Family or just...
Yeah, families. No, not a family. So speaking of those, I mean, I was in the landscape business.
Okay.
So that's what I did. So, I've worked in kind of a corporate role for about 10 years. Got really just kind of burnt out on it. Always wanted to get back to small business, and started a search probably October of 2019.
I mean, just like got on the internet and looked for businesses for
started
sale.
Right.
Really?
So I was still doing interviews and stuff at that time, and had a lot of job offers, and still kind of kept the search going. But it kind of came down to a couple different businesses in Dallas that just didn't ever work out. So we continued to kind of expand our search, and I had a buddy at the time that we were also kind of looking together, and we started moving outside of the Texas area, and eventually kind of landed on a spot here and saw this, and started talking with Terry and Justin. And I mean, you grew up with Justin, so
Yeah.
Getting Terry and Justin on the phone was just like a instant hit. And it's like, man, never really thought of a tackle shop of all things, but can't be too terribly difficult, complex wise, to run. So
It's a business.
yeah, it's a business. So 10 years in kind of the corporate path, I did business cases for 7 of those 10 years. So all I did was financials, worked on, plant expansions, new equipment setups for new lines. I mean, pretty complicated kind of stuff. And I was like, how hard would it be to sell some crickets and bloodworms? So that's what I tell all my buddies back home. They're like, so what do you do? I'm like, I just sell crickets, man. That's all I sell. And if you saw what I really did in the back, I mean, it's nothing too complicated. It's
they don't sell crickets anymore. They used to.
no,
sell
we
crickets.
don't. But that's always the joke. We sell crickets and minnows and
I used to
really
buy
all
the
the
hell
stuff
out
we
of
don't
crickets.
sell. But
I had my little cricket case, and I would go to TW's and fill my little cricket thing up. Oh my God, nothing prettier than a little brim bite on the cricket on top. Anyway,
yeah,
keep
no,
going.
that was. It's funny you bring that up because it's like if they asked me what was one of the best times fishing, like it was when you were like 6 years old and you'd catch grasshoppers and crickets and you throw them in the lake.
Yeah.
Let's see if they can make it to the bank.
Yeah,
and they never
exactly.
make it. But no, we don't sell crickets. So, I mean, talking with Terry and Justin, Robin, I mean, part of when you're going to buy a small business is there's always a lot of risk involved. And I
Sure.
think a lot of the risk is how well that buyer and that seller are going to get along afterwards. And this one was kind of unique because you had a seller that was going to stay in the business.
Yeah,
Not only were they going to stay in the business, but they're going to stay in the business just a few miles away. So there's a lot of kind of uncertainty there, but
with the same name.
with the same name, yeah, of course. And that was something that I don't think if we didn't have the exact same vision on it, it would have worked out, right? We wanted to keep running it as TWs. I grew up going fishing in the Panhandle of Florida. There's a shop there called Half Hitch. Like people remember going to these shops since they're a little kid. They go there 30 years and they take their kids there. So the last thing I really wanted to do was come in, change the staff around, change the store around, change the name. I mean, the business was successful. There was no reason to change all that stuff.
Right.
So that was kind of unique in a way. And when I came in to meet the staff one evening, I kind of gave them my pitch, which was, most of the roles I've stepped in, I was always kind of the guy I worked at a company called Ingersoll Rand, and I got to go into roles that one in particular that really needed a lot of help. And that's what I liked. I liked to go in and fix things that were broken from a business standpoint. The next company I went to, extremely broken. And I enjoyed that. But when I came in here, I'm like, it's not broken. There's
Right.
nothing to fix. So it's going to be a little different. So I was concerned about being, just overly bored at first. But there's so many things we've got going on, and we've got great staff, and it's just been a great time since I've been here.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you're bored because you guys have not stopped moving.
We don't stop moving. That's kind of my motto.
And it's really cool. You understand about not wanting to change the name because we're in a place where not everybody lives, and not everybody that shops at your store, they get to come in there once a year maybe.
Yep.
But it's familiar, and like you said, they pass it down. I know people that come down and they want to come down to the boat every year because they were here last year, and you get to see. They're excited to come down to the boat when they're on vacation.
Yeah.
I would think the same thing. People are excited to come down. You don't change the name, man. It's a whole new experience.
Yeah,
You're trying to
and
start.
they see similar faces that they probably
Yeah.
saw the last year,
yeah.
and you helped me last year, and we caught this, we caught
Yeah.
that about it off your
I
recommendation.
went in and told him,
If they catch something in any shop they go into. If they go into a fishing shop, any vacationer, this is kind of my advice to any shop. If a vacationer comes into your shop and you help them catch fish, they're coming back to your
yeah,
shop.
and it's
You just made a memory.
It's the same motto we have in our business. I mean, it's the same. We talk about it all the time. But I told him, I went and saw him specifically a couple of weeks ago to tell him that a friend of mine, who's not the best angler, lives down here, doesn't get a lot of chance to do it, owns a couple of businesses of his own, went in there, asked one of his employees, what did he need to do to go catch X fish? And Kyle gave him, straight up information, told him what he needed to do. He didn't try to be that guy to say, well, you don't do it enough. I'm going to keep something from you. Kyle told him exactly what did he need to do, where he needed to go.
Yeah.
Kid caught fish, man. He hadn't been fishing like 6 years. He was
Yeah.
so stoked, and he came back and told me. So I told him, that's nothing but positive reflects on you.
That for sure. I mean, our staff we got some great fishermen on our staff. People that are very passionate about service. We don't sell goods. We sell services, and you got to get the goods just to go along with that service, which is to go fish and have a good time.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think we've kept the Stewart family happy by trying to continue on that customer service, and so the experience of buying it with them has been nothing but great.
Yeah, I mean that's turning into our overarching theme here in this show, man. It's just
Yeah.
it's customer service.
Well, and they're great people, and I'm sure they're thrilled that I mean, they're happy to see it go to a good home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you guys are still, y'all still do the oyster roast together, right? You
Yep.
know, like they still show, turn out for that.
They're big ping pong players too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been over there and played ping pong. So we'll have to have a big tournament live on Misguided at some point.
I used to play a lot too.
Did you play with them?
I used to be pretty good.
Robin's pretty good.
Yeah, especially I would have a certain amount of beers and I would get really really good, and then it would kind of go down.
Robin had
there.
a few that night. I played her.
Yeah,
It's good though.
yeah. Oh yeah, Justin could play too. Me
Yeah.
and Justin used to play.
Well, do you have any in any business, man? You got to keep moving forward, or you start moving
For sure.
backwards.
Yep.
Anything you can talk about? Anything y'all doing that maybe hasn't been done in the past, or you're trying to do in the future? I know you tackle, man. You tackle is top of the line.
That's good.
I mean, I remember going back
still
there
got things
30
to
years
work
ago.
on for sure.
30 years ago, when it was Tackle Express, before it was
Yeah.
Terry's place, man, going in there and it was not the best tackle. It was a really good place to buy
Right.
beer and get your gas before you went fishing. But you guys are selling some really top notch stuff, man,
Yeah.
and promoting it.
It's tough because whatever somebody caught 3 hours away, 30 hours away, that's what they want to find at our store when they come in. And that's kind of what makes tackle shops get so complicated, is that there's really, if you had an aisle just of what you really need to be able to catch,
Mhm.
it wouldn't be too exciting. But somebody uses a certain color, some certain brand that's popular in the Midwest, and they want to find it here. So we will continue to kind of keep expanding some of our stuff here, because when those folks come, man, it's so funny to watch people that, you don't have that yellow with the glitter on that's what I gotta have, and it's almost like they're not gonna go
They gotta
fishing
have it.
after it.
But
And I'm
if you
like,
don't have it,
you gotta get. But yeah, we've got some good tackle, and that's come from feedback from like you guys, right? That's why we've got kind of a charter program, is how do we make sure we're always getting the best insight in there.
with you guys, it's not
Very
just
good.
us, but I mean,
Oh,
there's
for
a lot
sure.
of guys around here that I feel. I mean, there's a lot of guys that catch more fish than me, and just don't maybe some of the other things I do that maybe
Right.
keep the business going. But this area is a ton of guys that spend a lot of time fishing. Sometimes you wish you'd spend more time building something or working, but anytime there's waves or there's fish, a lot of job sites are empty. That leads itself to some really good anglers.
Yeah.
And some of those guys, man, could really give you a lot of insight. I would think they do.
We do. I mean, we get customers, like we had a guy in there this morning. He doesn't run trips. He's always fishing with D Hart and a couple
I know
other
exactly who you are. That guy
He's in there.
don't want to be near that guy,
Super
man.
nice guy, and he's like, man, you.
Why
should
he's
really-"
always getting them?
Dude gets
He
him, man.
whacks the trout.
He gets him.
Always
That's
whacks
all he does
And
is
his
trap.
son whacks him, and now I didn't know he had a little guy. He had a little guy in there today.
Oh, really? I didn't know he had a.
I mean, that guy's, if he has fun, he's gonna be coming in there when he's 40 years old.
Yeah, man.
And he's gonna be bringing his kid, and that's really, getting out of the corporate world, getting back into small business. That was what it was about. Was you really get to get kind of that one-on-one with your customers.
But that's really good. Is that
that's amazing.
you're selling to local people, and
Oh,
I mean, local people are spreading the word that you guys know what you're doing.
Yep.
You got staff. You got Kyle and Travis and Jaden, and guys they
Ward,
catch.
Jaden,
They-
a lot of guys.
And Ward, yeah, I mean, guys that catch. I mean, guys that know what they're doing. You're not going in there like,
No, we don't want to sell you something just for it to collect rust in your tackle
Yeah.
box.
And the other thing is if especially offshore, I mean, if I need something random or weird, or sometimes I just want to get weird shit so other people don't have, I can call Travis or I can call you, and say, hey, can you get me this? And they'll get it for me. You know what I mean? And, and sometimes usually for me, it's like I go out on complete tangents just to get random stuff to try, to have that next little leg up. But, those guys are always, when the mullet comes in, they let me know, we got fresh mullet, but I mean, and but it's probably not just me, but I mean, God, that mullet, that shit goes right out the door, doesn't it?
It's you could run a damn mafia here just
Did,
off mullet.
did you know that before you?
No.
Okay.
No. Oh my gosh, some of you guys.
It's
here
ridiculous,
blow
isn't
my
it?
mind. Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
It's like you're gonna.
Is it ocean called? Is it sound called? Is
I
it
think
this?
some of
Is
these
it that?
guys almost would qualify as a doctor in the
And
third
they're
world
looking at the
country,
eyes,
way they're taking
touching the bellies.
Yeah. You know what I've learned about mullet? If you cut a chunk of it and you throw it out in the water and the fish swims by it, if he's hungry, he'll probably eat it.
It does. Even the stuff that's frozen and thawed out and put in the cooler. Believe
Oh,
me,
yeah.
occasionally
we don't do that. I'll put that on camera.
Yeah, I know you
We
don't.
Do not.
I know you don't. I've known people. I've known people to do that in the
But-
past.
We will rail dump it for sure.
I mean, I'll tell you a great story, kid. That he was out on the pier, looked like he was a Russian dude or something like that. Like he had an accent, and he was like had a leather jacket on out on the pier. He's got his leather jacket, his skinny jeans on, and it looked like he'd just been to TW's, had a brand new ugly stick with braid on it, and we're out there drum fishing with our heavers, and he got some. I mean, there is frozen mullet when you can't get fresh mullet.
Yeah.
It's in the back in the store, and he had just a couple big packs of frozen mullet, and he freaking sacked us up that day, and we all had the freshy fresh, and we're throwing as far as, and this kid was just flipping off the side of the pier. He caught like 8 drum that night, and it was one of the, I mean, the drum dorks were getting pissed, man. They were getting pissed, and I'm like high-fiving him and like just loving it, but
Drum dork.
that kid had the best freaking time, man. You know what I mean? Like, and it was, whatever, just what bait that any self-respecting drum fisherman would never ever buy or use unless it was just, unless there was just no mullet to get, which does happen sometimes.
So how'd that come about? Because that's completely different. You buy this business, and all right, we got to go to these distributors. We got to get all this tackle. And then somebody comes in there in a pair of white boots and says, I need to sell you this mullet. Is that how it went down? Did you know anything about buying?
Man, our mullet fisherman's awesome. I mean, we get a lot of calls, but the guy that I've got, I mean, he's just a solid stand-up guy.
But did you know anything about it?
I didn't know a whole lot about it at the time. No.
Did anybody say, "Hey, you got to get this"? This is
I mean, yeah, you can tell once you know what to look for. It's pretty obvious on what's fresh and what's not. But no, those guys, I mean, they're going to be taking their stuff to the fish house. Obviously, the bait shops are going to pay a little bit better than the fish house. So they went through a really bad time, and the market, I want to say late 20 through 21, the roe was really bad. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff going internationally. So most of the mullet they would catch was bait mullet. So that was tough for them. But, we would get calls all the time. Hey, man, I got this mullet. And you're like, what's your, everybody's taking numbers. There's probably 15 random guys that'll just call the shop to sell it. So you don't have to look too hard.
They want to get rid of it.
We got one guy, it's kind of our main guy, and he's on it.
That's cool. That's
Solid
good.
guy, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go out and do that sometime. Have you done it before?
Never with the guilt. No, I mean, and I can't. Nick Walk won't teach me to throw a cast net. So, I really want him to teach me to throw a cast net, and he always tells me no.
It looks like hard work. It looks like something to go out and do, like be thankful for.
Yeah, I can't throw a 12-foot.
Yeah, well, Nick's pretty cruisy. I mean, he just cruises the beach on a pretty day, and if he sees him, he throws his cast net and goes and makes a few bucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
He's
he winds
having
up
a good
making
time.
some money.
He does.
When
he gets that. The thing is, and that's kind of like fishing. When you're on them, it doesn't matter if it's yellow, if it's green, if it's blue. You throw it in the school. When they're on and they're hungry, it doesn't matter the color.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
I love watching people just sit there and look at the eye, and I'm like, buddy, I've seen you stand there for 20 minutes, pick a color, and go fish.
I used to call Justin and I would ask him. I'd say, what are they biting on today? And I wasn't talking about the fish. I was talking about the people in the shop. You know what I mean? Because like it's like we're like fish. We're like fish walking into that tackle shop, and we're like looking at all the stuff, and we're like, oh, which one? What am I gonna bite on to make the fish bite on? You know what I mean? And you got to think about that too. What can I get to make them bite?
You get that where some of your employees say, "Hey, Chris, we got to have this. People are asking for this," and all of a sudden everything's changed. Now you're calling somebody going, "We got to get this in. I got to get this in. I don't have any."
You'll get runs on stuff for sure. I mean, we're working on a few things right now for some stuff people have been asking for. but it's tough because you can chase some of that stuff, and it's a quick fad, and then it falls out, and you got risk of sitting on all that.
I'm sitting on a ton of storm baits, anywhere from 2 inches up to 12 inches.
Now, remember the storm baits back in the day?
I find them all the time. Every spring when I clean my boat out or clean my garage out, I find bags of storm baits.
Yep.
Never been used.
And that was one. It's funny because I was looking at that. I made a comment just yesterday. I want to say to Kyle, I'm like, did we sell any storms this year? They sold near as many. And I don't know, obviously the one striper doesn't help the whole situation, but yeah, you've got other brands that come in. Yeah, I think Voodoo came in and took a bunch of swim baits away. It's always changing. Fishermen are funny.
Always
They're funny.
Well, I mean, think about all the shads we used to use, for trolling for Voldemort.
That's right.
Know? And I mean, I called I think it's Mans, right? Mans is a company.
Yep.
They make the divers and stuff like that. But I wanted some dread shads, and they used to make these really cool dread shad. They weren't for marlin fishing. They were for other type of fishing.
I made a dredge for marlin fishing out of them. They were fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I called up the company and I was like, hey, you guys got any of these left? Because I know you don't make them anymore. Like, there's no there's none of those things to catch anymore. And they're like, yeah, we don't make those anymore, but we've got like 1,000 of them left. Do you want them? And I mean, they gave me a good price on them, and I bought them all. But for my dredges.
Hey, Chris, this is the part to show we have to do this. We have a sponsor. Did you know we have a sponsor?
No, I heard it.
We have a sponsor. He's a pretty good deal.
About it.
Yeah. We got a sponsor. TW's Bait. You ever been there? TW's Bait and Tackle.
A couple times.
They take care of us.
Yep. I sent my mate there now, but
anyway, we got to go to them. We got to sell ad space.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, Donnie D from DOA and Misguided Fishing. Check it out. TW's got everything you need to catch all the fishes. The rods, the reels, string, baits, from all the guys that make that stuff. Shimano, Daiwa, Penn, St. Croix, Yoseria, Meat Hawk, etc., etc., etc. You want to look fly when you're doing all that catching? They got you covered with gear from Salty Crew, Pelagic, Extra Tough, and more. You got questions? Ask away. TW's is staffed by people who fish every chance they get. They got their finger on the pulse of Outer Banks fishing. I haven't even scratched the surface of this place. It's like a toy store for grown-ups. So check out TW's Bait and Tackle in Nags Head, the Outer Banks' largest tackle shop. Milepost 10. And now, back to Misguided Fishing.
well, you're this one that was how many square feet?
I'm trying to.
What's the red button do? Kick it back to recording?
Record.
That records our audio.
Yeah, this is audio. That's video.
Okay. But you edit this
I
out.
sync them together. No, sometimes I'll leave it in.
Oh, you just leave the bullshit in? Like the
Bullshit sells.
People like the bullshit.
Yeah.
A lot more entertaining than sometimes than some of the stuff we really talk about.
I know. Yeah.
All right, we're back, and we're trying to come up with a question. It's either a question or you come up with an embarrassing story.
Well, we actually need both. We need the embarrassing
Do
stories.
you have an embarrassing story?
There's always embarrassing stories.
We can self-deprecate all day long.
Oh, for sure. All right, you mentioned square footage, so we'll go square footage.
That's what you want?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Do you know the answer?
We'll be able to get you the answer
All right.
before
that's-
someone else gets it right.
Yeah.
That won't be a problem.
I have to have the answer when I give something away, so I'll know what the answer is. You don't say it right here.
Yeah.
Jack,
He wants to know now. He's wondering what it is.
All right.
We'll do
Giveaway this week. TW's giving away a reel. I have another reel to give away. Chris, you got a question?
yeah, let's do the instead of what our current square footage is, let's do what our retail square footage is going to be. So a lot of customers have asked for some new stuff, like we said, so we're working on that. So what's the new square footage going to be of the store?
So we're expanding.
We're trying to get some more stuff in there. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Cryptic.
Nice. They got a sweet video. You've got a sweet.
We've had
couple of
some-
sweet videos.
Have you seen the
going
videos
on
up
there?
front of that store yet?
No, I haven't.
What's that?
There's some cool videos in your store. Some captains put up there. Have you seen those?
No, I'd have to see it. So you'd have to ask some of the guys there for some of the stories they've given staff. But you know, Kyle's pretty dry. And what are those holes there? And he's like, well, we've our phones aren't working if you haven't noticed. So we're trying to find our telephone line. And he's told someone else, well, somebody just got married and they flushed their wedding ring down the sink. So we're having to dig up all the concrete to find the wedding ring. Like just outlandish stories. I've got one, an old staff member I've told a few people this, but he's still on board with believing it. So he's like, well, he came in today. He's like, so you're really putting up statues? I'm like, oh yeah. We're gonna have like 4 foot by 4 foot statues of like the 12 greatest fishermen. Like we're gonna have Roland Martin on there. We're gonna have Bill Dance, But he's like, when are they getting in? I'm like, oh, they're chiseling them right now. Like in the next couple months, we'll have them set.
There's somebody that works there. You're pulling.
He worked there for 2.5. He's getting ready to move, him and his wife, but he worked there for about 2.5 years. Yeah.
You know who that is?
Big guy.
Yeah.
Big tall guy.
Can't think of it. Can't think of it all the time.
All right, we'll figure it out.
But
So, do you ever get a chance to go fishing, or are you just always working?
Went with Jack.
He went
Last
fishing with
time
me
I
last
was
year.
with Jack, actually. Yeah, so we did.
they caught a big gaffer on a spinning rod.
Yeah.
You would have loved it.
I would have.
Yeah, that's my style of fishing is not what I call fishing. Now that I know what fishing.
What do you
is.
mean?
My style of fishing is just you go out on a boat, like you and I go out on a boat. We hang out, we drink some beer, and we catch something great. You don't? Oh, well, like that was my style.
People do that on my boat all the time, and you don't.
We only caught something for a very short amount of time, and then we didn't catch anything else the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So I obliged him It was exactly what he wanted.
Did you get to drink some beer?
Yeah, I think I had beer. I mean, I don't drink, but
Took a nap.
Growing up, since I didn't live on the coast, we bass fish. So it would be you bass fish in the morning, then you go wakeboard and tube and kneeboard in the afternoon, and you go do whatever at night. So we were
Very
on the lake.
Texas.
We were on the lake all day long, and nobody here really had, like the boating kind of sports is not really.
You can't do it
thing here,
because it's so.
That's
it's
definitely different.
I used to wakeboard a lot back in Jingai Creek.
Yeah.
My grandparents lived on the creek there. I mean, God, my parents had a little boat, and I would always call the girls and get a bunch of girls on the boat, and
Good time.
We'd go skiing and wakeboarding. I was a really good
Where was
skier.
that?
Jingai. You know where Jingai Creek is?
No, where?
So Jingait's like the inside of Martins Point.
Oh, okay.
So the east.
Oh yeah,
side
because
of Martins Point,
you're out of the wind. That's
Yeah.
why it's because it's so windy here.
Well, you need decent.
Yeah, you're better off.
water.
Yeah, people kite surf here instead of.
You know what? I used to water ski, and I grew up by the hot ditch and never fished it. All I did was water ski.
You just water ski
in the winter because the
Yeah.
water was always warm there back then. I didn't know anything about the trout.
You a slalom guy?
Yeah, I could get
Yeah,
up
I was a ripper on the slalom. I missed.
And back then it was
the
hydro
slalom.
slides, and there was no wakeboards. It was
Yeah.
hydro. This was 70s.
I was a pretty good wakeboarder.
Back in the
Not
70s.
great, but you were probably better than me.
No.
One of
I
the
like
worst
wakeboard.
decisions my father ever made was we owned 2 lots where Hurricane Mose is now.
Mm-hmm.
That was our property. And my dad sold them and bought a boat. Back when real estate was cheap down here.
Wouldn't you like to have that back?
Yeah. I'd like to have, yeah, and I definitely don't want that boat back.
What was
It's
it?
fucking MFG 16.5-foot tri-hull with a 65 Evinrude on it. Tri-hull. Just a piece of junk, man.
Would you wakeboard behind?
My dad had we had a Maycraft, like a 23 Maycraft. I mean, we were plans of putting outriggers on it and going offshore fishing. And I think we took it in the ocean like 3 times, and then I just called the girls up and found somebody to buy me beer when I was 16 and went out on the boat and drank beer and
That was my style of fishing, anyways. So.
I lived right across from a creek, and I'd go over there with bread balls and catch carp.
Yep.
And then when I was in college, East Carolina, with all the good fishing down in Little Washington, all that, never did any of it. Didn't know anything about it. On the west side of the Sound here, where all these guys are catching all those trout right now.
Yeah, well, you were part
I'd
of
go
it.
to Little Washington and fish off the bridge with the black guys with bread balls and catch mullet.
Oh, yeah. Tasty.
Not for me. I'd give them all away.
Yeah, they're good eating.
Not a chance.
It's like that kind
You were catching quality drum bait.
Yeah, but that's
Didn't even know it.
ignorant. Yeah, ignorance was bliss.
Well, so tell us about so big plans for next summer. A little more retail space. Y'all sell kayaks now too, right?
Got some kayaks.
So
yeah.
that wasn't something that Terry
No, that's all new.
I mean, it was just coming along when they kind of sold the
Right.
store to you.
I think it's funny. You kind of look here, and it's almost like they're 15 years behind areas in Florida.
Is that right? Yeah.
To me, it seems like it. Like, I mean, there's really not a whole lot of wade fishermen here.
There's a ton of kayak fishermen now, though.
See, and that's where I still, when I drive by, like in the Gulf, anyways, you would see just people stacked up on.
I say a ton, but I got to keep that and put it in
relative
perspective.
to what it used to be.
Relative to what it used to.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I get that.
It's growing, but it's not. I talked to another business owner recently about it. I'm like, I think this area is the most underserved kayak area when you think about kayaks per square mile of water.
Yeah, you mentioned that before, and then I get people on the boat that say the same thing, that are from the southern part of the state or
Yeah.
from south of here, man, and they find it hard to believe that during the summertime I can go somewhere and fish and not have another boat around me.
Exactly. Boats are the same way here. It's
That's what.
for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
biggest.
And we
body of
bitch and
water.
moan about all the boats now.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
We're
Yeah.
like, God damn, it's crowded out there. You know?
But there's still places you can fish. Still not really, probably because it's so freaking shallow in a lot of places that it's really humbling to try to find your way around.
For a boat, it's tough to navigate.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely part of it. And then for kayaks, it's tough because you don't want to recommend a novice kayaker out in the middle, especially around the
Around the inlet,
bridge.
where
Yeah.
you get
I mean,
a lot of tide. Yeah.
it can be dangerous. But even if they get out there and it starts blowing, the wind here is definitely something a little bit different than most areas. You get a bad blow day here all of a sudden in the afternoon, and they're not getting back. If you're not a good paddler, you're probably not getting back.
Yeah.
And the
So-
population densities. I mean, you think about places like Wilmington. It's a city. Places. I mean, up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Atlantic City and stuff like that. There's they catch fluke and everything like that. But my buddy's like, there'll be 500 boats out there drifting for flounders. On the weekends. You know what I mean? And we just don't know. Well, we can't catch flounders. We can't keep flounders, but it's just a lot of people, doing it. And here, I guess you just don't have the population density of that many people, except the ones coming down, in the summertime, and they're going to go fishing with you instead of bring their own boat.
It's interesting to look at because we have a lot of water
And
without a lot of
Yeah.
without being really that crowded.
Yeah, like
I'm not complaining about it.
if you look at an hour, 60 to 90 mile radius, it's one of the lowest populated areas along the coastline. Like Venice, Louisiana is pretty low, but it's really not a whole. But when you expand that out to like 8 hours, which is great because that's your vacationer
Yeah.
traffic, it's like the number one
Right.
in the U.S.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice.
Go from
'Cause
30,
you can, you
30
get the
30,000.
vacationers, but man, what a season we have here! It goes from 100 to 1.
30,000 to 150,000
Yeah.
in a week.
Yeah.
And it's still now. I mean, you should have seen it.
No,
I
heard.
now that it used to be really quiet around here. Now that being said, we used to have, a different fishery here in the winter where you would sell some serious tackle in the wintertime because
Right.
a lot of boats were coming down to do that.
that'd be
We don't
nice.
talk about that
talk
fishery.
about it.
Yeah. Oh, y'all talk about
That's
it on
vul-
here.
vulnerable.
It's like 15 years. Everybody's still talking about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. We don't, they come, yeah.
Yeah,
we don't talk about that. But that was, but
I think
now,
I've talked about it on here before.
We try not to talk about it.
But now there's more people have moved here. I mean, I go to TWs. When I go to TWs this time of year, there's still people in there walking around shopping and buying stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, probably not like you'd like, not like in the summertime, but there's still people, trying to go catch fish. I mean, the bluefin tunas help. People come in to, if they get a calm weekend, people come to go bluefin and,
Yeah, and it brings up the other point, which I love talking about now, is that we're starting to see some stuff like we're catching fish in February again, albeit it's a different species. But my buddy had a great trip the other day in the Sound on,
Yeah.
he had a great day on the Reds. It took 3 days of 60-degree weather to get him chewing
How far do you have to go?
a mile.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah,
great.
a mile from the dock.
yeah. So they're
But,
back there.
yeah, we're starting, but I'm seeing them. I've been seeing them all winter, which is cool. So maybe in the near future, next year or two, might be able to get these things dialed in enough where we can actually target them and have more of a year-round fishery.
Yeah. No, my first year here, when everybody says the only thing you're catching is dogfish, I'm like, there's gotta be something that. No, that's all you're catching.
It depends
And it
on
was-
how cold it gets. Too.
Yeah, it was funny because I'd always give Hampton a hard time because he's a huge trout fisherman. He's like, there's no trout. And the mullet guys would come in. I'd be like, what'd y'all catch today? And they'd have a couple puppy drawn, a couple trout. And then I'm like, Hampton, I want you to come. Are you sure these are mullet? He was always fun to mess with. He's down in Florida.
He's
so
doing pretty good. He's got it made
he's
down
doing
there,
good,
man.
Yeah. He's having a fun time. I haven't spoken with him probably in 4 months or so.
Is that right?
Yeah, I know he's doing good.
He posts.
down there.
He's a regular poster. I keep,
Yeah, I need to
Oh,
check
yeah.
in with him.
keep
too.
up with
I like
what
that
he's
guy.
catching. Always showing
You doing pretty
tarpon.
well.
Yeah, well, not well, but I mean, I fish with him on the pier and in the surf and
You
everything.
miss
like
him.
that.
He could upsell you. He was a seller.
Now Hampton was a seller, and he had his brands, and that was the brand you were getting, because that's what he would stand behind.
What do you like? St. Croix? Was he a St.
Yeah,
Croix
he was
guy?
a St. Croix
yeah.
guy.
St. Croix
You
Shimano.
don't want that
That's-
ugly stuff. You
Yeah.
gotta get this St. Croix.
And a lot of it was he really did care. He wanted people to be able to get. Now, sometimes, maybe somebody couldn't spend $150 on, good reel and rod kind of setup, or, a beginner good reel and rod setup. They wanted just $30 one. But yeah, he was going to do his best to get them something that was going to last a long time, and that they would, they would fill those 14-inch surf trout with.
But that's the kind of guys you want, man. Because I mean, when he wasn't in there, he was fishing somewhere.
Oh, he was always fishing.
Yeah, that's great. That's kind of the floor you want.
And I'll tell you something is and I dealt with this with some buddies the other day. They were looking at buying some. They got an offshore boat, spent all this money on an offshore boat, and they had these little podunky, some kind of pin. I mean, it was a pin, but it was like just a kind of a weird looking rod and reel, just a combo setup. And they were talking, okay, we want to have these for mahi and white marlin fishing. And I said, guys, look, like, you've got this boat, you got this high dollar boat, you've spent all this money, you're paying what, $1,000 a day to go fishing when you go fishing. I said, don't buy this crap. I said, go spend the money and get the right stuff, because one fish is gonna, if a blue marlin comes in there and tries to eat that, and you hook him on that rod, he's going to spoil you immediately, or it's going to burn up, or something like that's going to happen, and you're going to be mad that you didn't spend the money for that on that one fish. I mean, it's so much more worth it to have your shit right than to not because of an extra $7,500.
Yeah.
Important to have
And
your
that
shit
happens
right.
a lot. You'd be surprised how many times people come in to the offshore section and they're trying to save, pennies. Pennies.
Yeah, and they got $1 million center console sitting out in the freaking. Sitting out, I mean, that drives me crazy. It's like if you got the money for the boat, you better damn well have the money for the tackle, because things go wrong out there. Even when you do have good tackle,
But you better have your stuff right.
You better have your stuff right.
Lose that one fish that you can make a big payday on.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you know Jack lost a big fish the other night?
No, I was about to ask, how's your circuit going?
I did. I lost a big fish the other day because I had some faulty equipment, and I thought I could make it through the season with it, and it on the very last fish of the season, it bit me in the ass. So it was some roller tips.
2 hours into it?
2 hours into the first one, and then an hour and a half into the second one.
You know they were bad?
We lost them. Yeah, I
Or
did.
you just, okay.
I knew they were bad. We'd ordered new guides. They just hadn't come in yet.
You tried.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Didn't try to skimp.
I ordered the high dollar guides, but I should have gotten interim, not as high dollar guides put on.
Okay.
Just to avoid
Maybe you can take, when you come in, you can take them to the fish house and see if you can work out a deal. Maybe they'll buy them from you.
Just one more about having your shit right. I'll tell one more story.
I love hearing your stories.
When I was in Indonesia, the first time I went to Indonesia surfing, and I brought my spearfishing stuff, and I got to be buddies with all these big time spearos, and they had the camo wetsuits and the weight belt, the weight belts and everything like that, and the nice guns with either a reel on the gun or a float or something like that. And anyway, I didn't have any of that stuff. I just spearfished around here and shot triggerfish and a sheep's head, off the beach kind of thing. And so anyway, the day I was at this surf spot, and I'd gone out the day before, and I'd shot this little squirrel fish. I mean, I was, didn't know what I was doing, but anyway, he was about this big, but he was a tasty little rascal. But I shot him, and he was sitting hanging in a cave, and I shot him in the cave. And I was down deep, and my shaft went through the fish and into the back of the cave and lodged in a rock and got stuck. And so the cave's like this, and the gun comes out, and the line it's monofilament attached to the shaft, and it's rubbing on
The reef?
on the reef. And I'm trying to pull this shaft in midwater. I'm up in midwater trying to pull this fish out. I ended up having to dive down, dig the shaft out, swim in the cave, dig the shaft out, and come up with the fish. I got the fish. So the next morning, I'm swimming out to go again, and I'd seen some really big fish the day before, some big mackerels and some big GT giant trevallies. And I'm swimming out, and I notice where I had been pulling against it, there's this big chunk taken out of that mono, big old chunk. And I said, well, it should be okay, you know. I only had one shaft with me at the time. And for the whole 6 months I was over there. And so I went swimming out, and as soon as I hit the drop off, man, this freaking 60, 70 pound giant trevally swims up. I mean, just swims right up to me to you. And I was like, oh, yeah, baby. And so I took aim and just drilled him. And he took off, and I had that gun in my hand, and it went pow! And he swam away with my shaft in the side of him. And I couldn't spear the rest of the time. So anyway, I went home, and I came home, and I spent like $3,000 on, I had 10 spare shafts, I had a weight belt, and I traveled all over Indonesia with 2 spare spear guns and literally hunks of lead in my bag. But I shot every freaking fish that came to me the rest of the time I was there. And it just, like I said, I showed up to a gunfight with a knife, and it just, I never forget how mad I was at myself, because that fish was worth all that money that I didn't spend. You know what I mean? That one fish was, you know.
You didn't see one? Did you see one bigger than that the whole time when you had all the good gear?
Yeah, I did. No,
I
I shot like a 100-pounder the next year, you know, and I got him and took him back to the village, and the villagers gave it all away to the villagers, and I was like, you know, a hero.
King of Sabi.
You know, I was back to being my normal hero self.
Yeah.
You know,
We hate that when you're not.
but yeah, I do too. So.
When you don't get the bang on your chest.
But anyway, yeah,
It hurts
so,
everybody.
Yeah, but the point is if you've got, like, if you have a little bit of money, buy the good stuff, because eventually you're gonna be glad you did. Maybe not day one, but eventually, you know, or you're gonna be standing in the trout slough beside me or Dave Lusk, or not you because you don't fish on the beach, but you know, you're gonna come down with your surf combo that you spent $29.99 on, and you got a wire leader with a snap swivel and a jig on it when they told you not to get that at TW's, and you get it anyway. And we're gonna be with our St. Croix, and we're gonna feel every bite, and we're gonna be freaking catching them left and right, you know, right in your face, and you're gonna be like, damn it, it would be worth everything in my bank account right now to be catching these fish with these guys. You know, I see it all the time.
$10 on vacation is nothing. And $10 is quite a bit of better tackle sometimes when you're surf fishing.
Absolutely.
Not a whole lot more.
Yep, exactly.
You a big surf fisherman?
No. Didn't you see me? Oh, you saw me? Did you see the video?
Oh, God, nobody's seen your video.
No, what is it?
Oh, no,
Tourism,
no, not again.
Dare County Tourism Board paid for a video.
Okay.
This is where they're turning it off.
No, keep it going.
Anyway, I was in the fishing part, and
Okay.
Quentin was in the surfing part. But anyway, I was surf fishing in the fishing part of the video. First time I had to borrow waders to do it.
Okay.
Borrow a rod, surf rod to do it. And first time I surf fished in 30 years.
Do you like it?
It was bunk, man. We caught a bunch of small shit like this.
At least you caught something, though.
I did. I looked like I knew what I was doing,
Yeah,
man. I mean,
that's good.
it's not that hard.
That's good.
I just don't like standing. I'd rather be in a boat where I can move around.
See, I
Definitely
get-
don't like
yeah.
getting wet and cold, which I did. I was soaking wet.
I like it in
you-
the summertime, like the early fall when you're still in board shorts, you know, and it's a nice day out.
You know what I'm going to do that day? I'm going to be in my boat, in my tower.
You know, but then you got to burn gas, and
Go ahead. You stay home. You go walking
Just
up and down the
drift.
beach.
Drift.
I will.
Go
I
walk
will.
up and down the beach.
And I'll be all by myself, and I'll be you know, the waves lapping.
No, you
gently
won't.
on
You'll
the
be
shore.
as miserable as you were when we got here because your reviews got taken down.
Donnie D from DOA and Misguided Fishing. Check it out. TW's got everything you need to catch all the fishes. The rods, the reels, string, baits, from all the guys that make that stuff. Shimano, Daiwa, Penn, St. Croix, Yoseria, Meat Hog, etc., etc., etc. You want to look fly when you're doing all that catching? They got you covered with gear from Salty Crew, Pelagic, Extra Tough, and more. You got questions? Ask away. TW's is staffed by people who fish every chance they get. They got their finger on the pulse of Outer Banks fishing. I haven't even scratched the surface of this place. It's like a toy store for grown-ups. So check out TW's Bait and Tackle in Nags Head, the Outer Banks' largest tackle shop. Milepost 10. And now, back to Misguided Fishing.
About just big waves the other day. You came across the bar. It was huge.
Yeah, but I had to go
I saw
fishing.
pictures of Quentin getting huge air. Don't say we don't have waves. Just say I'm too old to put, or I'm too big to put my wetsuit on this time of year.
The wetsuits fit me. I get a one size bigger.
Just say I'm too big
I'm not.
to wallow around.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to admit to it. I'll go
Just
surfing.
say, I don't like cold water. I don't surf in the winter because it's cold.
You get winded?
I do like surfing.
Oh, wow.
Surfing cold water.
I was wondering why I didn't get one.
Yeah. Oh, I got a pocket full.
Thank you.
Just like to see people's face when they try.
What were we saying before the battery went dead?
Buy good stuff.
We're talking about.
Yeah.
Buying the right shit.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're talking about.
Don't cheap out.
Yeah, and the fishing off the beach. I'd rather fish out of my boat.
Yep.
And Jack said he'd rather be by himself alone.
I'd rather catch half the fish and cast and retrieve than.
I understand. Yeah, I don't care for fishing in the sound with bait unless you got to. Sometimes you got
But
to.
some people love. I mean, that's great.
I like going out on the pier with the bait and doing the drum thing. But like,
Yeah, and I'd probably like.
There's a big crowd of people out there. You can make fun of everybody, and it's fun. I usually break one off and because of shitty equipment.
Because you didn't pay any attention to it.
I didn't pay any attention to it. I probably cast the same leader out that I have on there right now. I'll probably cast that out next fall again.
It's all cloudy.
Yeah. Travis is always trying to get me to go to the point. I won't go.
All right, we've been.
I'm not going to drive that far to catch a drone.
I understand. It's
off the beach.
All right, we're at 45 minutes in this one.
Okay.
I've got a lot of work cut out for me the next 3 weeks while you're dicking off in Costa Rica.
Yeah, you think you got a lot of work cut out for you? I'm going to work.
I got to work too.
You do.
Yeah, we're all going to
making money. That's what you got to do.
Not in the wintertime.
All right.
Trying to get through, baby.
Yeah, just keep the fingers crossed.
Maze right around the corner.
All right. Exciting to see what y'all bring to the table here.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
When are you looking to add to your inventory, as you said?
Right now, we're checking stuff in every weekend.
And when are you looking to have it in place? I'm not trying to say when you expand
For
it.
the season.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have some new stuff for the season throughout the rest of the year. I mean, and it's stuff all of our customers have asked for, and that's what's great is our staff has been challenged on always that. What is it when you come in here you don't find? What can we do to help? And it's their feedback that kind of got us to this point of let's add a little more space and add a little more stuff and give our customers what they asked for.
You might as well use it if you got it.
Yeah, pretty simple. So we're working on it.
All right. Once again, the giveaway question for free reel from TWs. They're our sponsor.
Yep.
If you didn't know.
How many square feet of inventory of retail space is there in the TW's Bait and Tackle Nags Head location?
When it will be in 2023? How much retail space?
Mm-hmm. Square footage.
Square footage. Retail space.
Meters. Let's do meters.
No.
That'll screw everybody
Yeah.
up.
No. All right. That's a pretty simple, straightforward question.
Yeah.
All right, man. This is good. Appreciate you coming. Are you nervous? You were nervous earlier. I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah.
Oh, I've only ever
Trying
had
to find you.
only ever had one guest more nervous than you, and he was 9 years old.
That's all good. Yeah. What are you gonna say? You gotta laugh at it.
No, appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks for your
everything.
sponsorship
Yeah,
and
thanks, man.
everything like that.
This is working out. It's working
What's the
great.
giveaway this week?
Real, one of the forces or fierces or whatever you gave me.
Forces?
Fierce. Did you give me a
Force.
fierce or force?
Force.
You gave me a real.
The Star Trek edition, like one of the little.
You thought that'd be Star Wars.
No, you gave me.
Oh, you're right. I don't see. I'm not.
You gave me a trout reel to give away. You
Yeah.
gave me 2 trout reels. One's going away this past week, and one's going
We
away.
got some more for you when you're ready.
We're going to need to because it's the last one.
Yeah, we got a few in the coming your way. A few podcasts. So good
Yeah.
stuff. Nice work, Donnie.
Appreciate it. All right, Misguided Fishing. YouTube,
Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, check us out, man. Appreciate it. Later. Misguided Fishing has been brought to you by TW's Bait and Tackle, Nags Head. Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll see you next time.